The Vow of the Disciple raid has been completed, and you know what that means. Tons of new lore and secrets to dive into. The campaign for Witch Queen introduced to us the Witness, and the raid answers many of the questions which stemmed from that final cutscene. What does the Witness want? What's imprisoned in Savathun's pyramid ship? And who is the Disciple? Today we are going to answer these questions with some epic reveals, and talk about the truth behind Savathun's throne world and creation of the Hive. This story begins with Rhulk, a being of a new species we have never seen before in Destiny. Rhulk's species lived on a world called Lubre, as heard through dialogue in the new mission and the new lore cards.
I would look to the sky and see the two sons of my Lubre. One eternally shaded in the dark, the other always a brilliant blue. And in them, I had seen the folly of our kind. A fear of something we believed bigger than us, and a reliance on that which kept us. That blue sun that we harnessed our power from. A simple reversal of that power cracked the blue in half, shut it off, and Lubre died.
Lubre had two sons and went through an apocalyptic event where most of its people were destroyed. Now we don't know too much about this event, but Rhulk may have had a part to play within it, and shortly after this the Witness would find Rhulk, and he became one of his first disciples, a follower of the true final shape.
When I stood on that precipice, watching the only world I knew collapse under its own weight, I was prepared for the splendor of abyssal eternity. But you brought me forth, my Witness, freed me from the world that imprisoned me, made me see the ultimate truth, one I could never see alone. That on my planet Lubre, who I was, where I was, what I believed mattered, all amounted to absolute insignificance. I keep this mural not as some worthless sentimental reminder of what I lost, but of the opposite, of what I gained. Power, truth of the inconsequence of most, control over the universal strings of fate. For all this, I am eternally grateful, my Witness.
A time later, Rhulk was sent to the alien world of Fundament, the homeworld of the Hive. The Witness was interested in the potential power of these beings, and so he would play a trick. Rhulk dove into the deep of this planet and slew a Leviathan creature which was a disciple of the Traveler.
It was your infinite wisdom, my Witness, that led me into the planet's great sea, and face to face with that which was believed to be unbeatable. You instilled in me a true understanding of wanton domination. Not for pleasure, but as a means to achieve our absolute finality. When I reached the creature known to some as the Leviathan, it laid its thoughts bare. Turn from the deep fearmonger, it relayed. I know what you seek. Press on, and you will drown in it. I do not drown. I spoke with a defiant tongue. In a mere infinitesimal measure of time, I held a rib of this beast in one hand and pushed aside its maimed vessel with the other. I rise.
And as he continued to go deeper, he found the worms, or as we know them, the worm gods. Rhulk basically told the worms that they were now under the witness's command. You're under our control now, you listen to what we have to say, and this is how things are going to go.
As you so graciously taught me, I show them. Just as I did in the unholy den of those starving worm gods. I'll not forget the stench of their rotting flesh, or the way they cowered as I drew near. But they soon learned I was not to be feared. In the end, I left them only a promise of sustenance, and in return, they became chattel for our greater purpose. Absolute finality. And as I walked away, their fountainhead in tow, I could hear them whisper with respect. Subjugator.
So from previous Destiny lore, we are aware of the worm gods, these 5 right here. But new to us now is Zeta, the mother worm to these 5 children. Back on Fundament, Rhulk would steal this worm god mother Zeta for his and the witness's plan, which we'll get into in a little bit. As we know, soon after this is when the witness tricked Savathun and her siblings into ingesting the worms. The witness and Rhulk would warn them of an apocalyptic event, that the traveler in their skies would bring only death, so they dove into the deep and took up those worms, becoming the Hive.
Puppets, all of them. Every last krill, every last hive. I once believed in a higher calling as they do, but you know that. You rescued me from that. Eternal appreciation doesn't even scratch the surface of what I owe you for the gifts you gave me. I know you hoped the krill would see it too. We tried. We really did. But we had to let them struggle. All because of a belief that purpose had finally found them. Given them strength to conquer an oppressive home world. How else were they to grow? Their loss, however, is for them to grieve, not us. We will continue forward. Greater purpose awaits, my witness.
Fast forward a bunch of time later, we have Rhulk in Savathun's throne world. He was sent here in the throne world to watch over Savathun so that she too may one day become a disciple of the witness. Of this, my subjugator was not fond. Placed indefinitely in her throne world, he was made to watch her every move, to mentor and guide, to keep a close eye so that one day she too could serve the witness, a disciple in the making. Inside the pyramid ship, Rhulk would use the worm god mother Zeta to create worm larvae. Inside, you can see the thing hooked up to a device called the Upended, which is a super powerful weapon and is said to be able to destroy worlds. The larvae were used for obvious reasons at first, you can assume, to continue Savathun's large hive army by continuously creating the worms.
An entire city of darkness, right in the middle of Savathun's home. And she did nothing to stop it?
Why would she? At the time, it benefited her. Endless worms for an endless army.
But as her ideals begin to change, Savathun would disappear from her throne world for a while, and tensions would rise with that disciple. When Savathun obtained the light, she basically had enough and trapped Rhulk here in the throne world, saying this: "No longer does this plane live only with the lackluster ambience of darkness. It is brighter now. My truth can finally thrive. No longer do the walls that birthed our parasitic chains house your machinations. The tools and parasites within shattered. And no longer does your subjugator subjugate. He lies ensnared within his obtrusive eyesore. For upon Rhulk's attempt to subdue me with that toy he's annoyingly always on about, his upended, I was able to counteract it, showing firsthand the power bequeathed to me in my new state. Now, the once great pyramid lies fractured, a sight you will become familiar with. So try and send your scorn, or your disciples, or even bring your many selves to reclaim your loss if you must. But this is my domain now, and you shall never set foot inside it, even if I must draw my final breath to keep it that way. So this sets us up for the Vow of the Disciple raid. Savathun is dead, so we are now sent in to stop Rhulk and the Scorn army that is messing with the darkness.
Guardians, I am not your vanguard and I give no orders, only a warning. The pyramid ahead is not like those you've previously encountered. This one was not left for you to find. You were not guided to it, not beckoned. This domain belongs to a dark entity, unknown in power. It seeks domination of the throne world. Your presence within will be most
Welcome, children of light. Drown in the deep, or rise from it. The upended. A triumvirate. Opportunity, preservation, salvation. It will serve the deserving. Crush the defiant.
Here we can see that Rhulk used that upended device and is trying to experiment with the worm larva on the Scorn. And in the Caretaker encounter we can see an example of this working, a Scorn being infused with worms.
Not kings, not gods, disciples, prophets, saviors serving existence, an undying purpose, a privilege. The upended. A title suitable for that which turns worlds upside down.
In the end, the Caretaker and Rhulk are destroyed, but they may still be alive given some lore from the exotic sparrow. We know how Bungie likes to bring things back to life. And also their death animations are a little different with these brush or tree-like roots popping up after they die. That could be a whole nother video in and of itself.
Intentions aside, Savathun is solely responsible for her own ruin. If only we'd known the flood she was holding back. These things don't see themselves as gods, no. They believe themselves so much more than that. And yet, with all that power, it was wielders of light and dark, saviors of humanity, who brought them down. Regardless of victory, we must remember that was only a taste of success, barely achieved. There will be more, and the power they hold will pale in comparison to that of their maker, the Witness. We must now face an inevitable truth. The Witness and its followers, they're coming. All of them. And when they get here, we'll finish what they started.
Wow. The unkillable is dead. The Witness must be shaking in its boots, yeah? Oh man, you Guardians, you're always pulling off the unimaginable. I never knew the guy personally, but word on the street was Rhulk had been the proverbial thorn in Savathun's side for like eons, really. But now, both of them are, you know, in the ground, which means nobody's controlling that pyramid. And the Scorn see the opportunity. Their control could lead us right back to another Rhulk-sized problem. So, if you don't mind, maybe keep the place under our control instead? And who knows? Maybe in the process we'll learn something more about Rhulk. Or even better, the Witness. Good luck in there, friend.
So there you have it, Guardians, a quick roundup on the lore of the Vow of the Disciple raid, the Disciple, how this pyramid ship got in Savathun's throne world, and how it all ties into the Witness. Of course, this was basically just a summary with some of the lore sprinkled into it. If you like a more in-depth video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know what you'd like to see in the comments down below. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you, Guardians, in the next one.